Scott, thank you very much for your intro and opening. Let's make sure everyone can hear myself and Captain Williams.
You sound good to me, Dr. Dan.
I do sound pretty good to myself. Bradley, as you know, and I say this all the time, this could be the best webinar you and I have ever done.
Excitement.
Yeah. We're going to talk about winning, how to do it, why it's simple, why nobody can do it, and explain how this webinar will show you the path. There's going to be incredible.
Did you say why it's simple?
Yeah.
Wow.
You didn't know either. But
I did.
Not only that, guys, I mean, I'm going to make you so excited because of the Q&A webinar. Brad and I also showcase the cool stuff. We're going to be talking about what's coming up in the next release, why it really could be the game changer of everything.
Yeah, and I think we're also prepared because we like to kind of give stuff away at the QA webinar, a chance to check in every Wednesday. I will sometime during this webinar provide you guys the link with the latest beta. It has not hit our site yet, and but it does have some of the cool stuff that Dan's going to be talking about and showing.
But knowing that you could be, of course, hung out to dry, your assistant or leader, depending on how you want to go out. I'm playing him on the golf course tomorrow. He's going down. I have two gifts, Brad. Not one, two, to replace your potential one that you might get during this webinar. All right, Big Cat, you ready to rock and roll? Here we go. Number one, the legal disclaimer. Trade Ideas is not a registered investment advisor. All the information that you're going to hear today in my presentation or coming from the sagacious Mr. Williams is for informational and educational purposes only. None of the information should be construed as an solicitation to buy or sell any securities or security locks. So again, most of you know me. I've done this before with you guys, but for the ones that don't, the reason that you're listening to me is that I'm one of the guys that does it. I've done it from the beginning, from the mid-90s. I'm really old, but I still look, Brad, I feel like I look exactly the same as in that picture. I mean, the hair was cut similar, and maybe it's a smidge of gray.
Well, I don't like to think of you as old because if you're old, what does that make me?
Oh, but
older.
a conversation that can, I mean, we can't even discuss that. I love Richard's like, which one are you? Exactly. I'm the guy, I'm in both. I'm the guy with the dog on the left, and I'm the guy at the bottom with the dark hair going, huh? What? And by the way, I'm pretty sure that's the ear at the top there. That's the left side of my face looking at a screen. And by the way, I mean, here's something really cool for you guys. And Brad, you know, I usually would not do this unless it just popped right into my eyes. Look at the screen I'm looking at. Do you see that, Brad?
Yeah.
The nice CRT, the CRT 21-incher, right? But do you know what's funny? Look at what I'm seeing there. You got two charts on the left, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the rest is level 2 windows. And the stuff, right? Well, yeah, my time in sales. But what I'm trying to say is, guys, this story is from 1998, the one that says "Got to be quick," okay? And literally, almost everybody is looking at basically the exact same stuff, except for you guys who trade ideas.
Back in the day, you know, this was a trading room, right? And as a trading room, it was really the only place you could do this. And there was this conversation. You would find ideas because you would find things, the guy next to you would find things, and you would talk about it and pull stuff up and make your decisions, right?
Well, right. And what's kind of funny is when I look at that, what I notice is this funny truism. You know, monitors have gotten a lot thinner, but the trading software has gotten kind of not that innovative. There's not that much stuff that's really happened. It's because entrepreneurs, guys like us, they've either been taken out of the market or just died. So again, that's why you're listening to me. Trade Ideas is based on all that experience from these pictures. And Brad, although not pictured, almost as equally handsome,
Thank you, Dan.
is still very knowledgeable in the stock game. So the market has changed, but in a weird way. Brad, I want to come back over here. So in this time, where you're seeing pictures of Dan Merkin, the handsome Dan Merkin, at what I would call the golden age of the individual investor. This is the mid-90s, going all the way to 2000. It was a golden age for 5 years. That's where all the brokerage firms like E-Trade, TD Ameritrade, and the rest came online. And the market now, or 2017, has changed and actually become more like the market of before, the golden era, because at that time, as an individual investor, you actually had a chance to get in there and do something and make some money on good, high-level speculation and understanding of supply and demand and what they call tape reading, okay, which is basically looking at a stock and getting a feel for its flow, for how the buyers and the sellers are behaving. Okay, so that was the golden age in the 90s, and here we are, we're right back there, but the difference is this: technology and all the beautiful things that have happened in that time frame, in the 30 or so years that have taken place. 20 years? Yeah, right, 20.
Not 30, yeah, 20 plus.
I'm not the AI scientist. I'm the one that whips him. All of that has changed, and the technology, the fact that we have that social media and everybody's on phones, and the fact that the dissemination just is so lightning quick, okay, that the traditional way, again, of what they're saying, the old way of people sitting in a room picking stocks, thinking they're smarter than the next guy, that does not work anymore. And the reason is kind of simple, okay? It's because of the laws of large numbers. Because when you're picking stocks sitting on a couch and doing it by feel, you're for the most part guessing. We're going to really hit that hard today about why we're so different in that regard. But the whole point is our approach to it, and that's what we're going to talk about, is using artificial intelligence to help you do this better. Sit on the couch, pick stocks, but use AI. There's nothing wrong with sitting on the couch. It's just that if that's all you're doing, that's not the thing that's going to, you could sit on the couch with an iPad. But that's what we do for the ones that, for the people that aren't aware. For the ones that have, we are at the next golden age. So our approach to beating the market, okay, is not this news-driven sort of thing. It's a quantitative-driven approach, just like the MIT card counting game. But Brad, let's talk a little bit about this, because for those of you that maybe are relatively new or that don't know, or even ones that do know, think of this, okay? Trade Ideas, unlike virtually every other vendor in fintech, at the server level, so that means that, we're not big on office space like Bloomberg, but we have a lot of computers sitting at various data centers where we rent space, and these computers are connected directly to the lines that go to the aggregate supplier of our data. In other words, like the hard, raw data then comes through those lines and right into our server room. And what we pay the money for, the reason you can't do what we do, is that we pay a lot of money to take this data in, sort it, filter it, but the most important part of taking that data in is the fact that we are watching everything, okay? People often talk about, well, I need a certain amount of volume average for, but the problem is that that goes into direct conflict with breaking news. You know how news breaks? News breaks like this. Nothing is going on, and then all of a sudden, bam, something happens. That's breaking news. So the behavior of breaking news is not really like what people even understand how to kind of hypothesize about. But the whole point about what makes Trade Ideas different from any other vendor, and you go research, is that we watch everything on all time frames and then are able to ask our software questions, okay? Let me tell you about the right questions. So we are, by the way, going to get into some stock names and everything else, but just understand our approach. We use the scientific card counting approach to generate signals. That's what we do differently. Okay, and then this. Okay, why do, Brad, can you help me answer this question? Why is it that movie stars like Brad Pitt or Chris Pratt, for example, how are they able to get into such amazing shape for movies? Don't hide under your table.
Oh, sorry, I had mute on. They have trainers. They have people guiding their diet.
Okay, so right there, training, guiding the diet. Well, what is that? Doesn't that create basically self-discipline, right? They don't actually have to do it, though. They can pay for people to do it for them. But the point about success in achieving results, right, is really the old Tiger Woods, the better I practice, the luckier I get. You know what I'm saying? It's all about being disciplined. Okay? Discipline is the one critical thing that really matters. I mean, of course, there's luck, but luck is random. Discipline is not random. Discipline is actually the one thing that you can control, right, Brad? Because it has to do with you.
Yeah, it's very personal.
So this slide, I thought, really hit everything that we are about. So I'm going to read this again to everybody, and this has to do with your success, our business, everything in the market. I value self-discipline, and boy, do I value self-discipline. But creating systems that make it next to impossible to misbehave is more reliable than self-control. This is just a fact. So Brad and I learned through the application of this very scientific theory called, I believe it's bloody noses. Yes?
That's
Yes.
a fair assessment, yeah.
Through getting punched in the face for 20 years, learning it the hard way, we learned what you can't do, and we understand. And by the way, Barry, who is also helping in this room and is the moderator of our free Trade Ideas trading room, always kind of says the same thing, okay? Which is, you cannot lose big. So the key to success in trading is actually not making big. That will happen by luck sometimes. Sometimes it'll happen, you know, because you did the research and that worked out, but other times it'll happen by luck, which is okay. Where it matters the most is on the other end. Being a disciplined loser, being successful at the trial and tribulation, the rinse and repeat. The fact that trading is actually a game of small losses. Brad, what do they call golf? A game of what?
A game of small misses.
That's right. And by the way, golf too, because it's so multifaceted, is one of the most challenging games. And why is it that people have such a hard time just even moving their handicap a little bit, right? Because you've got the course, you've got your opponent, and then you've got your head. What do I think about, et cetera, et cetera. And there's so much going on. Investing is so similar to golf in that way. And we're going to talk about what we are doing now on the innovation side to completely destroy the market and give you tools that you've never seen before, which are going to change the way you invest. Okay? So I'm going to minimize this, and I'm going to jump right to investing. Brad, are you ready to get started? Is everyone able to see my screen? All right. Is everyone able to see my screen? Okay, so as I mentioned today, and before, by the way, I jump into all of this, I'm going to talk about, like, you know, the MIT card counting. Brad, we had said that we approach things as an MIT card counter would. Okay, so let me show you rather, how all of that starts, and I will back into everything you see here. But I didn't want to have a blank screen, so just work with me. So we get this idea, and Brad, you and I, we've been talking a lot about good news. When does good news break? And we talked about modeling that behavior. So what I want to show you, and by the way, let me just save this to the cloud. This is a gift for everybody who is a Trade Ideas subscriber. I'm putting this window right here, Brad, the cloud link. So this is called a window, an alert window called the good news sniffer. Because you have to ask the right question, guys. A lot of time is spent on what's the MACD? How close are we to the 50? Is there earnings? Is there not earnings? Is there this? Is there that? But who made up those questions where you think those are the important questions? That's the problem. People don't often know how to ask the right questions, and if you can't ask the right questions, you can't get the right answers. So this is a historical kind of, notice how trade ideas, because we have the data and because we created, well, we allow you to go back in history and see, well, what did today look like? So there's this stock, CO, China cord blood, had a lot of news in it, was trading like, you know, there's some significant volume, and if you look at it, the relative volume was 5 times normal. So that means either somebody knows something or news had come out already. More diversified restaurant group, similar stuff. Things happening. Okay, so this is a window that I call the news sniffer. In other words, it's trying to find stocks that are behaving like what stocks behave like when they have news. Okay, you have large relative volume. Look at the 1 minute volume bar percentage-wise. By the way, a number that you're not going to find anywhere else, not on FinViz, not in Stocks to Trade or VectorVest or anything else. What is the 1 minute volume percentage? Arguably one of the most important numbers to know. Well, we know that because we keep it, we make it. This is our proprietary data that we create on the fly. Again, just some of the reasons that this technology is so above and beyond. So this
is one of the, it really does kind of allow us to point out, it's why we keep all the normal behavior of the stock, whether how much it moves or how much volume is taking place on every single time frame. And then we create, like Dan was saying earlier, these new data points. And then with these new data points, we allow you to manipulate it or see it, but then we also feed it into the AI, which we'll show you a little bit later.
Right, so this is the hypothesis, and so I'm just showing everyone, this is the window, that's what it looks like, this is a trade ideas window, good news sniffer, okay? So now that we have an idea, we're gonna say, well, is this a good idea? So we're gonna test basically the whole day, 5 minutes after the open to avoid insanity in the first 5 minutes and avoiding the last hour, and we're gonna take a very general thought. On the timed exits, we're going to ask, well, what happens at the end of the day when this event takes place? And our risk management is our smart stop that uses volatility. So we're using all of this internal firepower, okay? And we're going to say simulate buy. Okay, so here we go. It's going. And you can see it's running through the history and running through trades. 22, this is what it looks like. I mean, so that you can kind of imagine, we currently ran through, and I like when people see what this happens. So this is our odds maker technology, and this technology is the foundation of everything that we do at Trade Ideas and what completely separates us from every other vendor, the trade stations, the FinVizes, everybody else. No one has the data to be able to ask these types of questions and get these types of answers. So we're almost done, but again, you need to see it. Here we go. So notice the numbers, by the way. So in what probably was Brad, I mean, we're probably still under a minute, I'm guessing, in general. But we'll know very shortly. Gives me an opportunity to take a couple of sips of my coffee. You want to fight for that last little...
It's that last mile, right? Well, you know, it's going through every single tick, you know, every single alert that's triggered or could have triggered going back the last, what, 3 months?
3 months, yeah. Okay, so we just tested 819 ideas. Remember in the PowerPoint, you know, we said being disciplined. Well, how do you, like, again, how do you even figure out what to feel? So we just did 819 reps. not in the same stock like you do in TradeStation and everywhere else, but in a way that nobody else shows you how to do it. And here's what the funny thing we found out. Hey, Brad, the stuff that looks like news, sometimes it is, and a lot of times it's not.
Well, you'll find that that's pretty typical, right? Things that look great, some of them are great, but they're just not.
And the thing is, it's intuition, right? Your intuition, tells you something looks good, but the problem is your intuition in this case, the historical way that you look at that and you try to relate that to some other pictures of charts that you've seen or hopefully have in your subconscious, banks. And you're mostly going to run dry, but even if you had it, look what you would come up with. Like, this is comparing any time this happens. And look, 40% success rate. Okay. So this is what makes trade ideas so goddamn powerful, is that we can ask these questions. And by the way, I just did one where we said, hold the whole day, but you can so easily modify that. You can say, what about getting out at 8:30? I mean, there's so many different ways that you can approach it. I'm just giving you an example of saying, hey, I'm going to get in, but I'm going to get out. You can just hypothesize things that otherwise would be very, very difficult to also hypothesize and react to. This is one of the things that, again, why this, Scott was talking about. What is this trend? Why are so many people going in this direction? Because look what I'm doing. I just basically wrote code, except it took me 3 seconds, and I'm actually an idiot. Don't ask Brad.
Don't trade that strategy.
Yes, well, a shorter time frame turns out to be worse, or in this case, the way I did. But you can keep asking these kinds of questions. Like, for example, what if it's just a certain amount of time? Like, how about 45 minutes after any entry? Being able to ask these simple questions and get new, hypotheses and new results really lets you dial things in. So you see, like, I'm going back and forth, and I'm, just seeing, well, which way is the wind blowing? Is there anything I could do, possibly, to find something that looks like it's working better? So this part of our technology, Brad, as you know, was invented right around 2007?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay. I mean, initially, obviously the engineering underneath and the way that we do memory and all this stuff, that's continuously being upgraded. But the initial concept of creating this backtesting, the way that I or Brad, from our experience, want to know answers, that's what really led to this innovation, because we ask questions in a human way. Hey, I'm getting in. What happens at the end of the day? People, think about this. Think about the simple concept of what is the exit. Like, scientifically speaking, when you try to do stuff, right, you want to have to at least have some sort of hypothesis. A lot of people have all this magic about when they want to get in, but there's no concept about when they want to get out because they can't think through it. They don't know what to do, and nobody wants to be wrong. So this is what tells you that almost everything that you see on a chart on your couch has about, this kind of success rate to it. That's the fact, okay? So I'm closing all of these windows, and Brad, did everybody got good news sniffer? So that's a good window for just discretional FYI, though. I mean, people do trade discretionarily.
No, totally. It actually highlights, where we started, right? We started by providing these ideas to people and letting them cull through them and make their decisions, and we just kind of migrated.
So as I said, that was gift number 1. Okay? So let me give you gift number 2. Give me the good news plus AI. Okay? So Brad, what's kind of cool is here I took this concept, and much like the way that Brad and I create strategies that end up being in the AI, I'm kind of giving you guys like the play-by-play. we took that concept of the good news sniffer and asked our AI to create a baseline strategy from it. And here's what it did. So I'm going to show you, Brad. I haven't even seen these results. I have no idea what's going to happen.
Oh,
but love your confidence. Okay. So look, what's happening though here is kind of important in that people really, I think, often don't understand, Brad, the concept of 1 out of sample day. Why don't you explain people to that, like the way that we optimize and the way that we look for these mathematical card counting advantages? What does it mean that we really just live outside of the sample 1 day, today? Oh, he's hiding again.
I'm sorry. I was answering a question. Did you ask me something?
And Cheryl, well, yeah, Cheryl's asking, what is the AI? And I was saying that we're explaining to you, the AI is a piece of technology that automatically adjusts base strategies like this one that I gave everyone, the good news sniffer, and creates these out of them. Give me the good news plus AI. So what I was trying to say about the out of sample day is that I'm going to show you, like, so this is what you would feel like if you had this window today. NRG would have been the first trade, and it would have happened at 1636. So this is what I'm saying by out of sample, Brad.
Yeah, so, I got you, buddy.
So right somewhere around here is where the software found NRG to have good news. So there you have it. That's the first one. It would ignore all of these because you only do 1 per stock. So the next one would have been TROX. Okay, so TROX had tried to pick it up at 8:30, and you probably would have been stopped out of that one. So that would have been a loser. And or you picked it up at 78 and it's at 82, a small little winner, and you can see what it's trying to do. Then we move back, and BTG 244 to 249. You're winning in that one, and I think that's it. So that would have been the trades for give me the good news today, and it would have been something like one of these. Okay, over here at the bottom. These were the strategies that made the cut today. Okay, and what I'm going to show you is what does it look like when the AI adjusts it. Why do I think that these strategies were good? Well, I'm going to simulate the buy. And you're going to see why I had confidence believing that this strategy would possibly perform.
So this is that same previous strategy that you shared, but gone through and some additional filters have been applied.
That's right.
And
absolutely. So I'm kind of showing, Brad, I want people to really have that understanding of what we do, because I don't want it to be too magical, you know. And after this, so we're kind of here, we're putting the foundation of what is it really that separates trade ideas from everybody else, asking these kinds of questions. You know, and so that people can see, like, oh, wow, look what happens. You know, this is the beauty of it. I still, Brad, you know, when I see these numbers and I go like this, I'm like, damn, man, we're doing some stuff that's the right stuff. Because this is not magic. This is applying that card counting stuff, and this is the end result. I love this part, that feedback that you get when you know that you're doing something good. Look at that. So today has not happened yet as far as the software is concerned, because it does that in the overnight processing, Brad. So that's what I was trying to explain to people. No trades but these were the ones that it would have had. And look, it's lost on a few days here and there. But I'm going to right click right now, and I'm going to save and share to the cloud. And this is the optimized AI assisted strategy of give me the good news plus the AI.
So Dan, Richard asked a question specific to this equity curve that we're looking at, and he was curious what these three lines represent.
Okay. So the dark line right here represents just the wins. Like this is the gross. Okay, this is your gross. This is your starting equity. So you started, equity was 40,000 this month. Okay, and if you didn't pay any commission and didn't have any slippage, you would have made 44,000. You would be at 44,180. But we're assuming that you're paying $7.95 kind of general Scottrade commissions, and you're losing 2 cents in and 2 cents out on the trade. So at the end of the month, you would have been up $900. So these are the two things, and these can be adjusted a little bit. So let's say, you know, a penny each way, or, you know, let's say you're paying $4.95, and you know, and you're still 4 cents off total. So that's how that works. Yeah, I'm glad you guys see it, because too, that's the other thing, you know, proper expectations, you know, that's so helpful in bringing everything to reality. Okay, Brad, so I'm going to close this, and I'm going to jump right into what do we all need to succeed, to win, and how are decisions made and stuff like that. So here I'm going to break it down into the components, and why, again, also during this time we're going to showcase what it is that we do. So first of all, for the ones that don't know, you're looking at a modified version of the Trade Ideas AI channel. So this is a channel bar that you can go through and basically pick channels with selected layouts for pretty much anything and everything you want in the market. And towards the end, I'll peruse these with you guys and just give you some examples so you can see it. But I'm on the AI channel because that's what we were dealing with. Because at the end of the day, it's about making money. We're trying to make money, not make pretty channels, making money. Brad, making money is a combination of a couple of things. One, having a stock that you want to buy or short. Two, assessing the overall market environment, just simply because if you know you want to buy something and all of a sudden the market starts getting killed, you might, you know, pull back. Or vice versa, if you're shorting something and the market starts breaking out, you might cancel that short. So this is like your overall market assessment, the S&P daily, so you can see where you are. We're right at the top of all-time highs right here after making a very exaggerated V bottom. We're at this point of inflection. There's a lot of volatility, and at these points you also get a lot more noise. Okay, but this is where the daily chart on the S&P looks like. And here's what it looked like pretty much you know, since the open today. It went sideways, there was a big dip, and then it ran. And again, this happens a lot, and the SPY was up 51 cents, or 0.21%. So that's actually not that exciting. Okay, so now let's get back to trade ideas. So what do we do differently? Okay, so while everyone is sleeping, remember, our whole point is not about being harder working, it's about being efficient. The market is about efficiency and processing information. We are here to do something you just would never do by hand. We're going to be crunching 1 million trades tonight to give you calls for tomorrow. So today, okay, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 long strategies that were active and 1 short one. And out of a bank of approximately 35 to 40 that compete with one another each day to be one of the strategies. How do they compete? Well, these numbers right here are the tested historical numbers, and they're constantly maintained every night. So Tailwind historically has a 61% success rate, Alpha Predator 62, et cetera, all the way up to 55 being the worst, but Wake Up Call has some of the other characteristics in that it has some of the largest winning percentage trades. So these are the statistical, historical Monte Carlo baselines, and here is how these strategies perform today These were the win percentages today, the number of trades, and the risk on and the risk off profit. I will explain all of that, but what I want to do is before we jump into all the craziness, remember, it's about discipline. And what's better than being self-reliant? Relying on a system that keeps you away from making mistakes. That's really the next level of innovation at Trade Ideas, where we're doing almost everything that we can to keep you from making mistakes. Let me show you how we do it. So first of all, Brad, what I did here was I highlighted a section of our AI trades so that people can see, well, here were the first 3 trades that came out of the AI today. So the first one that came out was a long trade for a stock called SORL. Let's take a look. So here are some new additions to the technology. Number one, instead of, well, the arrow now points in the direction. So this is a long, and it points you to the line that gives you the entry signal. So here we are at 8:29, the entry at 5 minutes after the open for SORL. This candle had some volatility and it actually went below the stop. But we're going to talk about why risk-on behavior should have kept you in this play, and again, what happened thereafter. So here's this first entry, and look at the continuation. Again, the reason that the AI thought that this was a move is because the way it behaved here and 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 here behaved in such a way that made it think that this was a good idea, and you can see what it's doing. So here's the daily. Notice how now the trade is highlighted. You can see where the stop area is. You can see where the profit targets are, so that everything is visible. So right now, again, I have a version that we might be releasing very shortly, either late today or tomorrow, that colors the trades just like you're seeing here. So I wanted you guys to see what this looks like, so that now when you're seeing AI trades, they're much easier to follow because you can see everything that's going on. So the next trade was a short trade in a strategy called No Fear Short here. Okay, notice the arrows pointing to the downside this time, and here's the price that we got short in this candle, 783. No stop hit. This thing fell from 783, and these are 15-minute candles. So in the next 45, in the next hour, it dropped almost 2 points. The maximum, you were up $1.50 just in that trade alone. But then it rallied back, and and again, there was just lots of, and you ended up being only positive 27 cents had you stayed in. I just got mesmerized by the chart myself, because saying what a beautiful call that was. So this is how you follow that trade, and you can see what it's trying to do. So hopefully now when you see what the AI is doing, you can see where it's going. So in this case, it's looking like there was that overall weakness, you know, just the overall weakness of what was going on. And that's why it thought that it would continue. And in this case, it did initially, and it just then reversed, which again, all of that stuff happens, but I'm trying to get you guys to see visually what takes place, and so you can understand why you're getting into these moves and what to anticipate. Next one, ADXS. I mean, this one is at 651, 2% gain. Here's where you got in, and it pretty much never touched that area and went all the way to 950 on the highs. I mean, insanity. All of these are being selected and picked out by the software. So these were your first 3 trades. You know, sometimes people say, well, how do I know which ones to get into and stuff like that? These are great questions. There is no exact right answer, because some people do it in the open, and from the morning, but some people's careers make it so they can only trade lunchtime. We have opportunities all throughout. So now that I showed you the first three, I'm going to kind of, Brad, go down to the last three. Okay? So let's look at the last three, because sometimes the best things come at the end. Look at this. Tailwind, a strategy that sees strength and anticipates continuation. Notice how, again, all the lines just beautifully set for you. This thing just was running. As soon as we caught that wick, it just never saw that price again. And you can see, by the way, this is, Brad, one of the things that I love. You know, notice people always tell you, don't try to catch the bottom, don't try to catch the bottom. The only people say don't try to catch the bottom are the people that can't catch the bottom. People that do catch bottoms never say don't catch bottoms, because catching bottoms is awesome. That's what it looks like, and that behavior takes place because bottoms occur all the time. Don't catch bottoms. God, they just don't want people to win. PTI, look at, by the way, everybody, just so that you know, write this symbol down. Look at this chart right here, Brad. I mean, again, no promises, but my goodness, this is starting to set up the way that Barry and I are starting to get excited for the swing of this one.
So, hey, before you move on to another symbol, do me a favor. Brad's asking a question in here about these columns that we have on this strategy trades window. Maybe you can kind of touch on some of them. Some are obvious, right? Like when you get in.
The strategy trades close columns?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So whenever a symbol appears in trade ideas, it actually appears in a different window. It appears in the trades open window, but that would not, it would be empty right now. So I'm kind of giving you the way that it would look to you when you saw it would be something like this. Entry time, entry time, position, strategy, and symbol, something like that. And then afterwards, exit time. Like when you got out, last price. So all these things are just columns that you can use to help you monitor the position, so that you're able to kind of get the most out of the data. Like for example, we have a column that shows you in terms of your position. Show me what's up the most over the last 5 minutes. Because again,
this is great when you've got it sorted. A lot of, most of the time, and I think by default on our Holly channel, that's the column that we have dynamically sorting these windows here. So we're always bringing the ideas to the top of this window for the stocks that happen to be moving in the direction that we're looking for.
Yeah. Well, here's again, this is RDUS. This one is a one that a lot of times behaviors take a little bit to happen. And see, and look at this. You see that? And then boom, just goes.
So the other two columns, let me just kind of, because they're not really obvious to some people that are new to trade ideas, and that would be the risk on and the risk off profit. And so for every signal that's being called by Holly, every strategy has a time stop. That means it's going to be getting out of this trade sometime before the close after its initial entry. And maybe that time stop is 2 hours. Maybe it's 1 hour, 45 minutes.
Right here, Brad.
So yeah, right there. So what we're doing is in the risk off profit, we're keeping track of what that profitability is during the trade before it exits out of it or that time stop. And then we're also keeping track of another profit statistic, and that's your risk on profit. And that's looking at that stock all the way to the close. How's that stock performing if you stay in it? So we're giving these two different metrics, and we allow you to watch the profitability of all of this in real time, not only for risk on, but also for risk off. So if you click on that cell right there, you can toggle between what the view is for risk on and risk off and get that historical perspective. So that's the whole trading day right there, from the beginning all the way to the end. So I hope that helped a little bit.
So there's a reason why I had the view the way it is, and I'm going to change it in a second. I wanted everyone not to be overwhelmed by trades because, it's so easy for people that are new to get a little bit overwhelmed. So I was just kind of focusing on the top, things that came out early, like, whoops, sorry. Things that came in the beginning and then things that came at the end. I just wanted people to kind of see what it looked like. But let's expand this a little bit. And so the people can see actually every single trade. This was today brought to you by Trade Ideas, okay? And so we had a total, let me start back with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You're 24.
24. Out of those 24, in terms of risk on, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 losers. I mean, just raw numerically out of the 24. And in terms of risk off, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But again, here you're being much more conservative, and that's the whole point of risk off mode. So maybe something else to kind of make people understand is that when you're trading, we have 2 ways for you to extract alpha out of the market. One is the conservative way, meaning like if you were being as cautious as possible while speculating. The other way is called risk on. So there's risk off, which is conservative, and risk on, which is letting the volatility pay you. People say, how do you know which one to use? Well, we actually show you all throughout the day which mode is on. So today we had one of these days that kind of flipped around a little bit. In the beginning, it was risk on. Then it actually, when the volatility hit in this one, because this one went against us, it became risk off in the middle, but then it just started running again to risk on. And what that lets you do, when you sort the information by profit change last 5, this is what Brad's talking about. This allows you, as the P&L is moving around, and let's say you're a doctor and you just got in here, well, all you have to do, or a lawyer, engineer, anybody that works and isn't in front of the market all the time, you turn on the AI, you see what's going on here, and you start looking at this profit change last 5, you'll instantly see which one of these trades is moving the most in your direction right now. Okay, and you can see how that is relative to the overall P&L, etc. But the real important part here is that, again, when you have the statistics lined up, the overall trend can tend to just simply play into your favor. And that's what we're doing here. I love that Joe just said this seems too good to be true. But Joe, it's not that this, I mean, look, at this point right here, we went from positive to negative, and that didn't seem too good to be true. I mean, the AI has lost money before. We never ever pretend that you will not have a down day. But we are counting cards. Nobody else is doing that. There is nobody else in the retail world, in the world of you guys, that is approaching investing actively the way that Trade Ideas approaches it. Everyone's trying to like, I want to find the social sentiment, or I want to find the crowdsourced sentiment. Bullshit. All that is bullshit. We have all that baked in inside our tech through price action and the fact that we happen to also, of course, Brad, be watching the social media. Okay, so listen, we've done it. This is what you want to see. The big thing, the difference, the cool stuff that we're bringing to the table is this, the cool stuff. Come on, people. And by the way, cool was on this day too. It like literally, Holly caught this thing so beautifully because it skipped this day and had it here and now caught this much here. It's like it knows this one. And anyone, by the way, that is a subscriber here, you know, the majority of you are, you know I'm saying the truth. Otherwise you call bullshit on it right here at the webinar. The beauty of doing these webinars, Brad, is our subscribers are here. And if there were people here who were like, you know, this damn guy, he's just trying to lure people, he's full of shit, you would hear them say it. But that's not what we're here to do. We're here to bring innovation, and that what we're trying to do now is make it easier for you to follow these calls by showing you what they look like visually. Here's your entry. Look, it didn't work out. Boom, here's your exit, and here's why you got out. Now, obviously, again, we don't know that it's going to come back, but you take these steps because you don't want to be sitting in that risk. But by the way, look at what it's trying to do. Do you see, like, think about, people always say to us, Brad, the biggest question we get, is this just for day trading? Hell no. Hell effing no. Day trading is stupid for the most part, except the part about where it's controlled risk. But just getting out of stuff for getting out of stuff's sake is, I mean, that's really silly. There are moves, like look at this move, okay? You have this company going in 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, in 4 days it went from 14 to 10. 4 days. You know, what if some good news comes out and it goes right back to 14? Why would you want to, you know, sell this at 10.05 if it gaps up to 12? All of these things can happen. Getting out is a function of your risk management, not a function of some name that somebody made up because they didn't like So's Bandits. Okay, so let's jump back to the presentation because I've got a good part here that I want to show you guys. So we showed you how cool things are getting. Now we want to show you what you're going.
Hold on, don't jump the gun yet, big guy. I want to do one thing first before you do this, because there's a question I think it'd be worth. No, it's still early. We still have 6 minutes. Relax. You have somewhere to go. All right. So I want to do this. Someone's asking what's new in the software, and I just leave it right there on this. Well, actually, yeah, that's fine. You can leave it right here on RYI. So what we've done with this latest version is we've added some annotations to the chart, and the annotations are really based on the AI signals. So when an AI signal is generated, it's going to go ahead and superimpose that blue line that you see on the chart on both the intraday and the daily. That's going to let you know where the signal is. It's going to give you kind of a range of where the stop is placed for that particular call and where the profit target is based on the gradient color, the red and the green. It's also going to give you some various shades of that red and the green. The darker shading that happens right when that signal occurred, that's going to give you that range in the risk-off area before it got out of the trade. And then when it gets out of it, it's going to still give you that shading. It's going to be a little bit lighter, taking you all the way to the close. So that's in the charting. But what I wanted to show now is, do me a favor, Dan, open up Brokerage Plus, if you wouldn't mind doing that. And we don't need to connect or anything, but I want to, you provided that AI-assisted strategy earlier. And I want to show everybody how to drop that in, what you can do with that, and what you can do with Brokerage Plus. It really, this tool here, some of the enhancements that we've been working on have gone into this right here. So that's why I'm having Dan bring it up. But do me a favor, go ahead and right-click on the Strategies tab, or click on the Strategies tab. Yeah, and right-click inside of there, and let's load something from the cloud.
Well,
you probably have it in there, right?
I happen to have add to existing, give me the good news plus AI.
Yeah, so right there, now go ahead and right-click on that strategy, and let's go ahead and edit the trading strategy. This is where you define what you want it to do when it generates a signal. So that's the hours of operation, that first part, saying we can get into a signal 5 minutes after the open, an hour before the close. Dan's in the sizing here. You can say, I want to do $10,000, or I want to do 500 shares or 200 shares, anytime that signal is generated. What kind of order, a limit or a market or a limit delta? Maybe you want to do the last plus 2 cents. You want to be a little bit more aggressive on that long. Your stop loss, your profit target. Trailing stop's not functional yet. But so this allows you to really treat that strategy as a black box strategy if you want. Turn it on and let it run it. It'll manage it. It'll get out of it in the time allotment that you've defined, the stop that you've incorporated. So it'll manage that. Or what I like doing is almost treating it like a gray box where you use this to get into it and then manage it yourself, like taking it off of autopilot and landing the plane yourself. So that's Brokerage Plus, and that's one of our latest innovations that we've added to Trade Ideas. And we've been doing this for 14 plus years, so there's a lot of great stuff, and you don't need to know everything to really get value out of it. You can start with the channel bar and see how we've configured things and move all the way up to using the back tester and creating strategies and automating them. So Dan, I'm sorry for stopping, but I wanted to at least throw that in there.
Oh, no, absolutely. And I'm just saying that there's so much customizability. I typically, like Brad said, we are pushing the envelope of this whole brokerage game, and we're going to add so much lipstick to the pig also. But again, one of the nice things, and this goes back to now, by the way, Brad, am I allowed to?
You can do whatever you want, man.
I don't want to get beat up or anything. Okay. Scott, I'm going to jump to not you, but I'm going to do this because I'll talk to you about it live. But anyways, let me talk to you a little bit about how we run the business. So Trade Ideas comes in two ways. There's the standard Trade Ideas, which is what we started with, which again, you have so much power there. You can do all this customization that we just showed you, the channel bars, all the top lists, and all that kind of stuff. And for everybody, whether you're standard or premium subscriber, when you become a subscriber, we give you a one-on-one training session to really get you up to speed. Our support is the one thing that separates us from everybody else in terms of the amount of human contact, and I'll get into that again specifically. But really what everybody primarily does is the premium because of what I'm showing you. It's the card counting. I mean, guys, for what we should give you for $1,800, it's literally complete insanity. And today, with a promo code Obsession, you get 15% off your first month or year. So that's applied to any of these numbers. Now let me give you just something to think about, okay? So Barry and I, we've chatted about this in the trading room, but just something to, think about. Trade Ideas with the AI, and by the way, the AI isn't some software, it's literally like a person giving you signals, an analyst that works for you. How much would it cost for you to have your own analyst, let's say from Harvard? I'm going to say it's going to cost, $200,000 a year at least, okay? But in this particular case, our software costs $5.17 per day. If you amortize it over 365 days, the $1,888.
Dan, I'm told our math is wrong.
Is it wrong?
Yeah, well, with the discount, right? So with the annual discount, I think it works out to $4.40 a day.
Okay.
The point is still made.
The point, yeah, it's not about it, it's the point. Medical school, by the way, which this does not include residency, and then you have to go do the medicine, the work, costs you $137 per day. And medical school is something that people go to then try to earn money. Trade Ideas is something that people buy to help them earn money. And Starbucks is delicious. But we have no problem blowing $4.15 on a latte. I know I don't. And we just want to put it into perspective. That's it. That's how crazy it is. Now, the other thing that I wanted to come back to was that the support that we provide for people who are embracing this, whether through Holly or not Holly, is the thing that allows us to really grow at the rate that we're growing. Barry Anderson, who's in the room helping, runs a phenomenal trading room all throughout the day. He's in there from the morning to the close, moderating a room filled with some of the best traders on the internet. And you know that because the room is free and there's no ads and no bullshit, and it's not a room for spamming. It really is about sharing ideas. And we don't really, we of course put in links for people to subscribe, but it's not meant as a sales tool to Trade Ideas other than exposure to our products because you want to be there. Okay, that's why it's there and really invaluable. It's free. Brokerage Plus, the technology that Brad was showing you. This is going to be the way you're going to trade. Trust me, because it's going to be the easiest way to transition from RAI to any brokerage platform. And right now, of course, it's only with IB. But here's the thing you want to know. It's in beta, and you can see we're improving it and getting some incredible feedback and making it better and better. And right now, for every premium subscriber, Brokerage Plus will be grandfathered for free. What that means is When Brokerage Plus becomes an add-on inside of Trade Ideas Pro full release, it's going to cost $1,088 one-time fee. But right now, to the early adopters, people who are interested in the tech, it is free. So this is yet just another incentive to use the technology, because it is going to be your bridge to placing the trades. And we're not only going to be with IB, we are going to add other brokerage partners, but still huge, and it's free. Last but not least, we have a podcast that we do every Friday. It's hosted by myself and Jamie Hodge, and we often have guests, and we're going to continue to do that. And in the podcast, we typically talk about, again, a less stringent but more like observing view of what's going on in the market and how to apply the tech and how to maybe, you know, glimpse at any kind of an edge. We always dissect where the edge could be hiding. So these are the things that are on the agenda today. I kind of stole Scott's thunder. Scott, I hope you're not too upset about that. But we just were working on modifying the presentation a little bit. We are super easy to get a hold of. Myself, you can follow me on Twitter at TradeIdeas1, and at TradeIdeas is our corporate. Info at trade-ideas.com is where you need to send all of your information. And of course, if you want to spam me, this is where I am, and our phone number. We will get to you. This is what we do. This presentation is going to be recorded. We have a YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube and you search Trade Ideas, you will see a library of videos on anything and everything that you can possibly imagine. So again, thank you everyone for taking your time. Scott, is there anything that you want to add, or are we all good?
I think you covered it. I just want to reiterate that if you have any questions or comments or need help with the software, email info@trade-ideas.com. That is the best place to reach us. And I think that's good for today. We'll have the recording up later tonight or tomorrow, and you get an email reminder at some point around early tomorrow afternoon with a link to the playlist where you can find the video. Thanks.
And join the trading room. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks all. We'll see you in the Trading Studio webinar tomorrow. You should be getting an invite within the next hour. And thanks for staying tuned to Trade Ideas, guys. Bye.
Take care, everyone.